Super Smash Bros. Is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. Nowadays, we have Smash Ultimate with like 1 billion characters from all sorts of different franchises, even ones not owned by Nintendo. But in today's video, we're gonna go back to where it all started with the original Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64, and I'm gonna be attempting to get every achievement in this game using retro achievements, a website that adds achievement support like you would find in modern games to all your favorite retro games. There are a total of 59 achievements to get, and to get them all, we'll have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty with every character, unlock all the bonus content, and do some side challenges along the way. And I am not a Smash player. I've played the game casually a few times with friends, but I pretty much just spam buttons when I play, so I'm gonna have to learn how to actually play this game in order to get these achievements. So this will be an interesting journey for me personally, and hopefully for all you veteran Smash players, it'll be interesting to see this game from the perspective of an inexperienced player. If you're new to the channel, my name's Nostalgic Juice. I'm on a quest to revisit all the classic and nostalgic games I grew up with and get their retro achievements. So if you enjoy achievement hunting, 100% completion, and challenge videos, then make sure you subscribe because I upload a video just like this every week. With that said, let's jump in and begin our journey through Super Smash Bros. So this video is going to be structured a little bit differently from my normal videos because there's no story or anything to talk about. The single player consists of 11 stages with a variety of challenges, and we'll have to complete the game with every character twice. Once on the normal difficulty with 3 lives, and then once on the very hard difficulty with only 2 lives. If you're an experienced player, you can just do the very hard runs and then your normal difficulty achievements will stack with those, but since I'm not much of a Smash player, I decided I would do the normal runs first to get some practice in. And there's also a few side challenges we'll be going for along the way, so I'll be focusing on those for our normal difficulty runs. But since we're basically repeating the same 11 levels 12 times each, I won't be showing off every single fight. So with that said, we're going to start things off with Mario, who I assumed was a good, well-rounded character to start off with. Our first stage is a 1v1 battle against Link, and he's the easiest opponent, so I'll use him to quickly explain how the game works for those who are unfamiliar. Smash Bros. Is a platform fighting game, so instead of a normal fighting game where you have health bars and the goal is to reduce your opponent to 0, the goal here is to knock your opponent off the stage. Attacking does damage represented by the percentage at the bottom of the screen, and the more damage a player takes, the farther they get knocked back with each attack. So you want to deal enough damage so you can send them flying off the stage. The controls are very simple. There aren't any kind of complicated moves that require multiple inputs or anything, which makes Smash a very accessible game that anybody can jump in and start playing. But there's still an incredible amount of depth to the game, which is why even to this day, people are still playing the original Smash competitively. And of course, for casuals like me, there's plenty of items that will drop in randomly, which can help you out against more skilled opponents. As you can probably tell by the gameplay you're seeing, I definitely needed all the help I can get. So once I got my hands on a hammer, I sent Link flying and cleared stage 1. Stage 2 has us fighting against a team of 18 Yoshis, which at first looks like a huge jump in difficulty. We go from fighting a 1v1 to a 1v18, but to balance things out, these Yoshi are a lot weaker than normal players. So one good attack is usually enough to send them flying, so the only challenge here is the fact that there's so many of them. Most characters will have a really good attack or two for dealing with these group battles, and for Mario, his up B and his back air can take them out in just one attack, as well as his smash attack. So this one really isn't all that difficult, and once we take them all out, we get an achievement for clearing this stage for the first time. After every few stages, we get a bonus stage. We don't have to complete these to progress, but we will eventually have to do all the bonus stages with every character, so for our normal difficulty runs, we'll be attempting them. They're also pretty fun and a good way to get some practice in with the characters. Mario's Break the Targets level is pretty straightforward, and we got an achievement once we clear it for it being our first Break the Target stage cleared. In stage 5, we have a 1v1 battle against Pikachu, and this stage is the best one to go for the Patient Pacifist achievement, which requires us to win without anybody taking damage. Pikachu for some reason just has a death wish, and there's a very good chance if you wait, he'll just jump off the map. And that's exactly what I did. I just waited in the bottom left corner, and sure enough, the dumb rat jumped off and fell off the map. So we got this achievement on our very first game. For stage 6, we have a 3v1 battle against a giant Donkey Kong. This is the first real difficulty bump in my opinion. Because he's so big, it's harder to knock him back and his attacks are very difficult to dodge. Even at over 200%, we're still fighting him, and he almost got a heart container which would have fully healed him, but thankfully I was able to get in there and grab it first. I got a really good attack in too, but he was still able to recover, which just shows how hard he is to knock out. But once he was above me, I gave him one more up smash, and that was enough to take him out, and we got an achievement for beating him for the first time. Our next achievement we got in stage 8, where we have another 1v1 battle against Samus. For this one, we have to hit Samus with a strong electric attack, which we can do with a character like Pikachu who has electric attacks, but we got lucky and found a ray gun which can also do the job. So once we hit her with that, we got the achievement for learning Samus's big secret, and we didn't even have to beat the first Metroid this time. I also lost my first 2 lives of our run against her, which is really embarrassing because as I played more, I learned that she's a really easy fight. Normally, once the lava rises, she'll just fall in and knock herself out, so she's kind of a free win, but this was my first time playing Smash in like 20 years, so clearly I was suffering from some skill issues. The final stage in single player is a 1v1 against the Master Hand. This fight is different because unlike all the other ones, this guy does have a health bar that we have to deplete to win. I really do like this fight a lot though, it's so iconic. This is just one of the things I remember the most about playing Smash Brothers. And there's also no items or stage hazards or anything, it's just a clean 1v1 battle on a simple map. So it really sets a good tone for the final battle. He's not the most difficult fight, though I did struggle with him a lot when I was younger. And I did end up losing my last life on this fight, but losing your lives doesn't really matter, you can just continue right from where you left off. You just lose a few points, but even those don't matter, not even for achievements. So unless you're going for a high score run, losing all your lives isn't a big deal, you just have to start the fight over again. The key to beating Master Hand is just learning how to dodge all the attacks and take things slow. This is a great time for me to learn how to use my shield, which is something I never do in Smash Brothers that I really should be doing. Honestly, there's probably a lot of things I should be doing. I'm sure some pro Smash players are watching the gameplay and screaming at their screen, but I promise I actually do get better at the game. Seriously, wait until you see what I pull off during the very hard perfect run attempts. Once we hit Master Hand one last time to deal the final blow, we've officially beaten the game. Obviously, it's a very short game, it only took us about 30 minutes, but remember, we have to do this again with all 12 characters, so we have plenty of smashing left to do. But after our first run, we got an achievement for beating the game, and our reward for beating it is the chance to unlock Jigglypuff. We just have to defeat her in a battle. Unlike Pikachu, Jigglypuff will not simply walk off the stage for us, so we'll actually have to earn this win. And I almost lost it at first, Jigglypuff got me to over 100%, but once I got it together, I kept juggling her in the air until I knocked her out. And once we beat her, we got an achievement for unlocking her as a playable character. Now we're in phase 2 of our achievement hunt, where we'll be beating the game again with every other character on the normal difficulty. I'm not going to show off every single battle because I don't think you guys want to watch the same fights 12 different times, but I do want to share my thoughts about each character and show the achievements that we collect along the way. So for our next character, I decided to use Kirby. And honestly, I should have started with Kirby because he's definitely the most beginner-friendly character. His recovery is really strong because he can fly, but not forever like in the Kirby games. His copy ability is also just really cute. I love seeing all the different Kirbys you can get by inhaling the other characters. And that's actually how we get our next achievement because in stage 7, we have to fight a team of Kirbys. And we can steal their copy ability if we inhale them. And I didn't even know that a Kirby could steal a copy ability from another Kirby, so that was a nice discovery. You can also do this really degenerate strategy where you stand on the edge and try to inhale opponents and then walk off the map with them, which is what I did against Metal Mario in stage 9, and that got us 2 achievements for beating him without taking damage and for clearing the stage in under 10 seconds. The Smash Brothers community has a very fun name for this technique, but I don't think I can say it on YouTube. I decided to try out Pikachu next because I just didn't get enough of him playing Pokemon Yellow in my last video. Though I will say, Pikachu looks a lot cooler when he's holding a gun. You know, except when he's shooting a bomb and knocking himself out, that is. I ended up liking Pikachu a lot more than I thought I would. He's pretty quick and his electric attacks are pretty fun to use. I especially like the thunder attack that you can spam from underneath an opponent on a higher platform. But for our next side challenge, we'll have to defeat the Pikachu in stage 5 without using any electric attacks. We can do quick headbutts to weaken him, and of course we can use items, which is just hilarious seeing Pikachu fighting another Pikachu with more Pokemon. But of course, the way we end up winning this battle is Pikachu yet again jumping off the map and falling to his doom. You just can't stop this guy from doing that. After you fight the giant Donkey Kong, there's another bonus stage where you have to stand on all these platforms. Just like the target breaking bonus stage, we don't have to do these to progress, but we will eventually have to complete them with every single character. And this was the first time I was able to do it without failing, so once we finished that, we got an achievement for clearing our first stage. And I was also able to get another achievement in the final bonus stage, where the goal is to make it to the finish line, and we have to do it in under 30 seconds to get the achievement. Unlike the other bonus stages though, we don't have to do this one with every character, and this bonus stage just kind of sucks because there's no way to end it quickly by jumping off the stage or anything. But Pikachu is very fast, so we're able to clear this one without any trouble while using him. And we managed to beat the game using Pikachu without losing all of our lives, so because of that, we're now able to get the chance to unlock Ness. And I just absolutely obliterated him because Pikachu's aerial attacks are really good. I didn't even take any damage during this fight, so that was just a very clean win, and with that, we got another achievement for unlocking Ness. Next up, we're using Fox, and he has a good range attack with his blaster that's just really good at dealing damage against these low-level computers, which makes the 1v1 battles incredibly easy. And then his up A attack is perfect for taking out the group battles quickly. We have an achievement for simply beating the fox that we fight in stage 3, and this is the first of many redundant achievements that we'll just be getting for winning a stage with a specific character, without any kind of additional challenges. They're just free achievements, which is always nice, but I think it's a missed opportunity to not give them some kind of unique challenge like the other ones. Like, it would have been funny if the achievement here was to win with Fox without using items, because that's a bit of a classic joke with him. We did pick up another achievement for defeating the giant Donkey Kong without taking any damage. Thanks to Fox's blaster, I was able to just keep damaging him from a safe distance and let my teammates try to knock him out. Normally you can't really rely on them to do that, but I got lucky and got Donkey Kong as a teammate, and he has a strong charge punch attack that would have been able to work, but that wasn't even necessary because the giant Donkey Kong stepped on an explosive mine which took out literally everybody except for me. So that also works. And this time, we beat the game in under 20 minutes, which lets us have the chance to unlock Captain Falcon. And just like Samus, we're able to knock him into the lava easily, and then we take him out quickly on his way back down with Fox's up smash. So that's our third character unlocked. I picked Yoshi next, and he was probably my least favorite character to use. He has a pretty bad recovery because most characters have an up B attack that lets them get back on the stage, but Yoshi doesn't, so I ended up dying a lot with him. I do like his egg move, but I didn't find it all that practical to actually use. But his down air attack is really good, probably his best move as far as I know. As far as achievements go, we just have another free one for beating the Mario Brothers in stage 4. Nothing too special with that one, but it's a nice little payback from all the times Mario used Yoshi to jump across gaps in Super Mario World. Donkey Kong is a heavy character who's really slow, but his attacks do a lot of damage. His best move in my opinion is his charge punch, which is super satisfying when you actually pull it off. And he's especially good for the group battles because any of his attacks is usually enough to get a knockout. And even at higher percentages, you're not getting sent flying off the stage as easily as the lighter characters. We have a free achievement for beating the giant Donkey Kong stage using him, and we also use him for a very annoying achievement. For this one, we have to beat the Mario Brothers in stage 4 without our partner taking any damage. And this one is really annoying because it's basically all luck. There's no consistent way to prevent our partner from taking damage. Even if you put yourself between them and the enemies, there's a chance they'll just jump into the bumper above the map for no reason and take damage that way. So in order to get this achievement, we'll have to find a way to end the battle as quick as possible. And Donkey Kong has a great grab move that we can abuse for this. Right at the start, we can grab Mario and just walk off the stage with him to take us both out. And we just have to hope our partner doesn't take damage in the meantime. Honestly, it would have been easier to just do that for both Mario and Luigi, but I set the game to 2 lives thinking it would save time when I have to restart the level by dying. But once it's a 2 versus 1, it's a lot easier to keep attacking Luigi and prevent him from damaging our partner. And after a few attempts with this method, I was able to get the win. But personally, this was my least favorite achievement because it really does just come down to luck. Samus is the only character in the game who doesn't have any additional achievements for using, which is a shame because I actually like using her. I don't think she's all that good though because her attacks are really slow and she's very floaty in the air, which makes her easier to hit. But like Donkey Kong, she has a very satisfying charge attack that just feels really good when you land it. And I was able to use that to easily take out the giant Donkey Kong without taking damage. So she would be another really good choice to go for that damageless achievement we got earlier. Captain Falcon I didn't really like using all that much, but he does have the Falcon Punch, which has to be the most iconic Smash move in the entire franchise. He is really good though, he's fast and his attacks are strong. The only downside to him is his really weak recovery, but overall he's a solid character. I just don't personally enjoy using him as much. For his free achievement, we just have to defeat Samus in stage 8, and we make very quick work of her with a Falcon Punch to the head to send her flying off the stage. We didn't even have to wait for the lava to rise that time. Jigglypuff was a really fun one to use. She's the lightest character, so she's super floaty, and she has multiple jumps like Kirby does. She has one move in particular which is really good, but it's a high risk, high reward type of move because the hitbox is so small. You need to be literally touching your opponent for it to work. But if it does, it usually secures the knockout. But if you miss, you're stuck in a vulnerable animation. But this is a really fun move to use against computers because they won't always punish you like a human player would. Her free achievement is just for defeating Pikachu in stage 5, and by defeating Pikachu, I of course mean watching Pikachu jump off the map yet again, making this already free achievement even more free. She also has really good aerial moves, so you're constantly just jumping around and floating with her, and I found that to be really fun. Her down air is especially good, and I was able to use her to get a pretty tricky achievement for defeating the Master Hand without taking any damage. The only attack of his I had to worry about was this finger poking attack, which is strong enough to break Jigglypuff's shield. And since she's so light, her shield breaking even at 0% is enough to knock her out. But aside from that, I didn't have much trouble dodging Master Hand's attacks with her thanks to how floaty she is. Any attack that we can't shield, we can just jump out of the way. And her down air attack does some really good damage. So it really only takes a few attacks to get him down to 0 health. And once we defeated him, we got the achievement. Ness is a character who I absolutely suck with, but I love using thanks to his PK Thunder attack, which fires a burst of electricity that you can control. It's just really fun to chase people around with it, though I don't think playing like this would ever work against human players. It's also a really fun recovery because you have to hit yourself with it to shoot yourself back on the map, so it's just a really unique move. We have another free achievement with him for simply defeating the Kirby team in stage 7. He isn't the best at dealing with these group battles, but we're still on normal difficulty, so we're able to manage. And once we took them all out, we got the achievement. Link is an interesting character because he has a variety of attacks. You have projectiles like bombs and boomerangs, a hook shot which can grab at longer ranges, and then of course your sword, which is your main weapon. He's still pretty fast, but heavy enough that he isn't knocked around easily. So he's a really good middle ground between light and heavy characters. Against the normal difficulty computers, I had no issues with him, but for his free achievement, we have to beat stage 1's Link on very hard difficulty. And that gives us a small taste of what's to come after we finish our normal difficulty runs. Even on very hard mode, Link is still the easiest battle, but you can clearly see that he puts up more of a fight on this mode. But I was still able to beat him on my first try to get the achievement, so I was feeling a little bit more confident about the upcoming very hard runs. We have just one more character to use, but we have to unlock him first, and to do that, we'll have to complete the Break the Targets bonus stage with all 8 of the characters that are available at the start of the game. We can either do this in the single player mode, or we can go to the practice mode and do them without having to play through the other levels. None of these levels are really all that difficult. The idea behind them is you have to use all your moves that you might not normally use, so they're a good way to learn more about the characters. The only target I had difficulty with and had to look up a guide was this one in Yoshi's level, and it turns out the solution is to just use his big head to smash through the wall. Honestly, Smash Brothers would make for a really fun platforming game. I would have loved to see more mini games like this. And once we clear all the stages, we have our chance to fight Luigi to unlock him. It was a pretty close fight for a bit since Yoshi isn't my best character, and I'm not sure what difficulty these computers are set to in these fights to unlock them, but I managed to defeat him, and we not only get an achievement for unlocking him, but we got another one for unlocking all 4 characters, which apparently unlocks Mew as a chance to appear in the Pokeball items. Not that it does anything, and it only has a 1 in 151 chance of appearing, so it's entirely useless. But I imagine this sparked a lot of playground rumors back in the day. I'm surprised it's not an achievement to get a Mew in a Pokeball, to be honest. I mean, it is just luck, but so is that no damage achievement against the Mario Brothers. At least this one's a rare interaction that most people probably haven't seen. And finally, we have to run through the game on normal one more time with Luigi, who we just unlocked. He's similar to Mario, but has some unique moves, and personally, I think he's just a little bit better because of them. Although according to the wiki, he's actually the lowest ranked player, so what do I know? He also has a taunt, which doubles as an attack, even though it only does 1% damage and isn't at all practical. But he is the only character in the game with a taunt that can deal non-emotional damage, which I think is pretty cool. And we have just one more free achievement to get with him, and it's to defeat Metal Mario. Luigi's down air is another great attack for dealing damage to him, and I was able to finish him off with a baseball bat that I picked up for an easy win. And once we complete the game with him, we are officially done with our normal runs. So that's 12 more achievements, one for each character we completed the game with. Our next step is to complete the game with each character again on the very hard difficulty with only 2 lives instead of 3. But before we get into that, we'll knock out a few more quick achievements for unlocking the rest of the bonus content. If we complete a multiplayer match on all of the maps after completing the game with all 8 of the starting characters, then we unlock the Mushroom Kingdom stage. So for that, we just load up a one-stock match against a computer character on every stage, and once we win on all of them, we unlock the stage, and that's another achievement. I never knew this stage was a thing back in Smash 64. They brought it back in Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was my first time seeing it, but it turns out it's been here in the original game this whole time. We can unlock the sound test by completing the bonus levels with all 12 characters. We already did most of the break the target levels to unlock Luigi, we'll just have to clean up the last few with the unlockable characters. And then we have to run through all the board the platform levels. Board the platforms was just a little bit harder, but they're still pretty easy for the most part. I did struggle a little bit on Captain Falcon's level thanks to this jump at the end, which I just wasn't getting, but I ended up just backtracking and doing that part of the level backwards, and that helped me skip that narrow jump I was having trouble with, and I was able to beat the level that way. Jigglypuff has the absolute worst one, where we have to dodge all these flying bumpers as they bounce around and send us flying. And I had to do that twice because I missed the last platform on my first try. Because you're supposed to use the pound attack to extend your jump in order to reach it. And this one was our final level, so once we finished it, we unlocked the sound test and got an achievement for doing so. And that just leaves one more thing to unlock, and for this one we have to play 100 versus matches. We don't have to win these matches, we just have to complete them. And according to somebody in the comments, it doesn't count if you just walk off the map, so for this one I just set the emulator to the highest speed and let the computer beat us over and over again. Though I somehow managed to still win one of those matches despite not doing anything. For some reason Mario used his up B attack while I was hanging off the edge, and that did knock me out, but he fell off the map first. So we got ourselves a win by doing absolutely nothing against a level 9 computer. Now that should be an achievement. I also didn't realize this until editing the script, but this actually happened twice too. On another match, Mario did the same thing, knocking us out but then falling off the map first. After 100 matches, we unlock the item switch, which gets us an achievement for unlocking that, and then one more achievement for unlocking all the characters and bonus content. So now all that's left is our very hard runs. At first I thought these weren't going to be too bad because we have 2 lives and we can continue if we lose them, so it doesn't seem all that difficult. But on very hard difficulty, there are plenty of levels where those 2 lives just aren't enough if you don't know what you're doing. So this is where we have to actually try a bit harder and be more intentional with our gameplay instead of just spamming attacks. One thing I learned pretty quickly is that aerial attacks are almost always the best attacks. They're quicker, they deal good damage, and the computers have a harder time defending against them. Especially characters like Kirby, Yoshi, or Jigglypuff who have really good down A attacks. But there is a catch, because most characters, when you land on the ground after an aerial attack, there's a small delay before you can attack again. And the very hard computers will definitely punish that. But there's a technique that we can do to counter that called Z canceling. If you press the Z button right as you hit the ground, you'll be able to cut the animation short and get in control faster. And this also works for when you get knocked on the ground by another attack, so it's good to try to make this a habit. Knowing how the computers behave is another key to clearing the very hard stages, because unlike human players, computers are a bit more predictable. For example, landmines are always a free win against them because they're just not programmed to dodge them, even if they're the ones that planted them. They'll also always try to pick up items, which means that the big heavy boxes and barrels can be used to bait them into an easy attack. 4 stages in particular were the most difficult to deal with on the very hard mode. The first one is the Mario Brothers stage because you're basically fighting a 2 versus 1 while your partner just does absolutely nothing useful. The best thing you can do on this stage is to try to keep them separated. So if the 2 Mario Brothers start ganging up on you, just try to evade them until one of them goes for your partner. Computers will usually target the player nearest to them, so staying near your partner can help keep some of the pressure off of you. The giant Donkey Kong stage gets really difficult here. Once again, your computer partners usually aren't all that useful, and since Donkey Kong doesn't get knocked back until very high percentages, it's difficult to get an attack in without taking damage yourself. Characters with ranged attacks are a bit easier since you can sit back and just deal as much damage as possible from a safe distance, but not every character has that luxury. In my opinion, it's just easier to dodge him than it is to fight him, so for a lot of these battles, the strategy is to just try to evade him until some good items drop in. Metal Mario was also difficult for similar reasons. Because he's so heavy, he doesn't get knocked around when you try to attack him, he just tanks the hit and then attacks you back. Kirby and Donkey Kong have a really easy cheese for this just by grabbing him and jumping off the map. He's so heavy that he stands no chance at recovering from this. But for everybody else, I found a good strategy is to stay underneath him on the platform that he starts on. As long as you don't get too far away, he'll usually stay on that platform and it's possible to just keep hitting him with strong aerial attacks. And then once you get him to around 200%, you can start trying to knock him off the stage. But the hardest stage is stage 10, right at the end before the final fight against Master Hand. This one you have to fight the Polygon team, which is a team of 30 enemies who mimic the moves of all the characters in the game. Because there's 30 of them, they're the weakest individually, but 30 is just so many of them that even with 2 lives, this is still a struggle for most characters. Especially for the characters that you aren't that good with. I feel like for all the other stages, you can scrape by with just a basic understanding of a character, but for this stage, you really have to know what you're doing. You want to make sure that you're shielding often during these fights, pretty much whenever you get grouped up on. Because normally computers will punish your shield with grab attacks, but these guys don't grab you, so you can shield easier. This was by far the most difficult stage, but with 2 lives and continues, it just took a lot of patience to be able to clear this stage with each character. I'll also say, for any fellow retro achievement hunters, this game is great for the points. Each very hard run achievement is worth 25 points, and with 2 lives and continues, even if you're like me and aren't a Smash player, with a little practice, I feel like anybody can get these achievements, so it's a great game to boost your score. One by one, we completed the game again and again with each character until we got through them all, and that's another 12 achievements. That just leaves 2 achievements left, one for completing the game on the normal difficulty with only 1 life and no continues, and one for completing the game on very hard with 1 life and no continues. Since both of these achievements stack, I decided to just go for the very hard run. But I was not prepared for how difficult this achievement would be. I spent hours trying to get this perfect run achievement. This has to be the hardest achievement I've ever attempted on the channel. I decided to use Kirby for this achievement because after all my very hard runs, I felt like I was doing the best with him, and Kirby can cheese a few of the more difficult fights. Like for the giant Donkey Kong fight, we can do our degenerate suck and jump strategy. It's not exactly foolproof, there were times where I jumped too low and then got knocked out first, but eventually I got the timing for this down and was able to beat it pretty consistently. And I dealt with Metal Mario the same way. For the 1v1 battles, I just started getting really good at doing them quickly. Kirby's aerial moves are really good for dealing damage, and then his smash moves are good for knocking opponents out. His down smash in particular is really good because it covers both sides, so when opponents like Fox are rolling around, it can get them. The only fight that's still a pretty good challenge is the Mario Brothers. If you get lucky, you can start side smashing Mario right at the start, and you might get an early knockout if you can get him off the stage and your partner can keep Luigi distracted. But most fights aren't going to go that smoothly. Kirby's down B attack is a pretty safe way to deal damage to them if you're in a 2v1, they'll almost always go underneath you and they never block that attack. It is slow, but it's useful in a pinch when you're outnumbered but don't have enough damage for a knockout. But the main way I deal with these guys is to just spam down and side smashes. And I say that's enough to win maybe 70% of the time against these guys. For the group battles, Kirby's up A is his best move. That usually knocks out any of them, and it's a quick attack that's easy to spam. But even with that move, the fighting Polygon team is just so difficult. This one stage is what's holding me back from getting this achievement. Even Master Hand isn't all that difficult. I managed to pull off another damageless win against him on the very hard difficulty while practicing. So once we get past these polygons, we're home free, but I really cannot express just how difficult these guys are, and every time we fail, we have to replay the entire game all over again. And no matter how much I practice this stage, I could just not consistently win it. It's like a 20% chance if I win at best. I did some homework to see how other people are beating this, and the most common strategy people use with Kirby is to camp on the ledge like this. And on paper, this seems like a good way to cheese the fight, and multiple people suggested this method, but it just wasn't working for me. It's great in a pinch when you're at high damage and have to play safe, but it's not foolproof. Enemies can still attack you mid-attack or edge guard you with items. Or sometimes you just miss an input and don't grab the ledge. So for me, actually fighting them worked better. I practiced this stage for like 10 hours and I'm able to do it, but just not consistently. It almost feels like the difficulty is randomized each time. Sometimes the enemies just die immediately and hardly put up a fight, and other times they're blocking every attack and swarming me and I can't do a thing about it. And the lack of consistency is a real problem when, again, every failed attempt requires me to have to replay the entire game since we can't use continues here. And it's not like I'm 100% consistent on the rest of the levels either. I still lose a handful of times to the Mario Brothers or to the giant Donkey Kong, and every once in a while even to one of the other stages. What's hilarious is the attempt that you're watching now, I managed to not only do it, but I did it without taking a single point of damage. Seriously, I did a damageless run on the very hard difficulty against these guys. I don't think anybody who's mastered this game can say they did that. That itself has to be like one of the biggest achievements I've ever done. But getting this achievement is still so difficult because I just can't get a perfect game without using any continues. Part of me hates this achievement because I think just doing the game with one stock was challenging enough, and making it so you have to replay the whole game if you fail just feels like a bit of an unnecessary restriction. But the other part of me knows I'm just coping because it's really hard and I'm having skill issues. I'm definitely getting better with each attempt, and I even decided to run through the game on the normal difficulty just to knock out that other achievement. And that was a walk in the park. I did it on my first try. But for this one last achievement, I just wasn't able to do it in time for this video, so I have to do something I've never done on this channel and switch to softcore mode for retro achievements. In softcore mode, you can use all those emulator conveniences like save states or lower the game speed to make things easier. You can still get achievements this way, but the points are counted separately from the hardcore mode where you can't use features like that. And you don't get the mastery badge for getting all the achievements this way. So using a save state, I was able to re-attempt the polygon team without having to replay the whole game, and after a few tries, I was able to clear the stage. And after that, we just have to take on the Master Hand, which, like I said earlier, is a really easy one by comparison. I actually took a lot of damage during that fight. It was honestly my sloppiest Master Hand fight ever, but I still didn't come close to losing it. And once we defeated him, we got the achievement, and with that, we've officially completed Super Smash Bros., which makes it the 23rd game I've completed on retro achievements. If I had more time to work on this video, I think I definitely could have gotten that achievement in hardcore mode, and I don't plan to give up on it. I'm gonna make this achievement one of my 2026 New Year's resolutions. But I am glad to finally have an opportunity to practice what I preach, because I see so many people on retro achievements get so obsessive over the mastery badges, to the point where they won't even play a game if they don't think they can master it. And some people even think that all the challenge achievements should be separate subsets because of that. But I think it's fine to have some difficult achievements like this that you're just not going to get right away. I knew there was a chance I wasn't going to be able to get this one in hardcore mode when I started, but I'm glad I still tried because I'm surprised just how much better at the game I've gotten. And it was still a really fun journey that made me appreciate this game a lot more. So I'm glad that I decided to give it a try. This was still a great journey and I learned a lot about Smash Bros. With that said, that brings us to the end of today's video, gamers. I hope you guys enjoyed the journey despite the bittersweet ending, but I do look forward to doing some more attempts to get that last achievement in hardcore mode. And if you want to catch those attempts live or just hang out while we hunt achievements in other games, feel free to follow me over on Twitch where I try to stream once or twice a week. If you guys enjoyed the video, likes and comments are always appreciated. If you don't know what to comment, tell me what your 2026 New Year's resolutions are. And for all my fellow achievement hunters, you can feel free to follow me on Retro Achievements if you want a sneak peek at what games I'm currently working on for future videos. Once again, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.